All right. So today I have Dr. Pat Ivey on my podcast. He's currently the Assistant Vice President and Associate Athletic Director for Health and Performance at University of Louisville. So he was a professional football player, American football player, and then he was at University of Tulsa as a director of strength and conditioning coach, and he moved to Arkansas State University to be director of athletic performance, and then Missouri where you mentor Brian Mann, Andrew Paul, those great guys work under you, and then like Logan University, and then University of Louisville. Am I missing anything?
I don't know. That was good, but I don't know if those guys work for me. I think I work for Andrew Paul and Dr. Brian Mann. Those guys were too smart and too hard working to be working for anybody.
I love those guys. I love those guys. So, uh, I probably all the strength coaches in the field know who you are and know where you are right now, but can you kind of share that your journey at being in our field as a strength and conditioning coach to
Yeah.
now you focus more on leadership and mental performance?
hmm Yeah. Well, I would say it started being an intern, but I didn't know I was an intern at that time. I When you love the weight room and you love being in the weight room, and when I wasn't working out, I was still in the weight room. So for me, uh, I didn't realize that my strength coaches saw me in that way. But as I look back on it, that's exactly what I was. I was setting up, breaking down, helping the coaches station during the off season. So I was in the NFL, but during the off season, you can sit inside the weight room. Like that, for me, that's how I thought of it. Hey, we got a couple of groups coming in. Well, yeah, I'm going to go over here and spot a couple of guys on squats and do things like that. Why would I not do that? When it was time to go to lunch, yeah, I went to lunch with the strength coaches every day. I didn't think of it as anything different. Like that was my life. Uh, so when there was a chance for me to work in the weight room, the head strength and conditioning coach said, "Hey, if things don't work out for you professionally, come back here and work for us in the weight room." And I thought, cool, I'll just continue to do what I had been doing. And that happened. So I went in the weight room, got cut, and I was GA less than a week. I was in the weight room working and learning how to be a strength and conditioning coach. At that point in time, I was the head strength coach for track and field, the entire track team. So throws, jumps, sprints, distance, cross country, winter, I mean, everything. And I was baseball, I was wrestling, and then red shirt football players. So, as a GA, having all of those responsibilities, I got to learn a lot. Eventually, I had a chance to play professional a little bit more. So I kind of went back and forth. And when it was time to stop playing pro ball, I was a GA again, finished up my classes. I was hired full time before I finished my master's and did that for a year and a half. I was an assistant. At that point in time, I was continuing to work with baseball, but I was bouncing around women's basketball. I worked some soccer. I was working a lot of teams, a lot of sports, great experience. And we had a change in football coaching staff. The head strength and conditioning coach was let go. We had a new director come in, and at that point, he took me off of all sports just to help him and work football, which was a good experience as well. But I did miss coaching my own team, and I felt like I was actually moving backwards in some respects as it related to designing workouts because at that point I was not designing workouts anymore. So for me, I thought that the best thing to do would be to petition or at least assist other strength and conditioning coaches, their assistants. I would help them out with their teams and testing. But it was time for me to run my own show at that point. So that's when I went to the University of Tulsa. That would have been 2002 to 2004. I returned back to the University of Missouri in 2004 to be the director of strength and conditioning. Um, Throughout this time, I had several job offers, but I just kept focused on what I was doing, where I was at. Eventually, I interviewed for the head strength and conditioning job in 2007 for the Kansas City Chiefs. I was offered that job. I had accepted the job. The contract was in the mail, and I renegotiated with University of Missouri. There was counter offer, and at that point, I became an assistant AD. Still had strength and conditioning coach, but just more administrative responsibilities and more pay with that. I wanted to justify being paid more and more responsibilities, and created the sports nutrition department. And we promoted Jana Heitmeyer, who was um, an assistant strength and conditioning coach, to the director of strength of sports nutrition. Promoted Josh Stoner, who was associate director of strength and conditioning, to the director of strength and conditioning, so that when I was away in administrative meetings, he would run the whole department. I did that, became an associate at probably 2012, and I coached until 2015, took a hiatus and worked on campus in the chancellor's office for a year and a half, missed athletics, missed coaching. That's when I went back to uh, assisting one of my former assistants, Kaz Kazadi. Kaz was one of my GAs at Mizzou, and so we had maintained a friendship and a relationship, and I went to assist him in 2017. 2018, he left to go be the head strength coach at SMU. And then I was promoted to head strength coach 2018 at Arkansas State. And at that point, I realized, yes, coaching is fun. I've enjoyed it, but this job was posted at the University of Louisville. Is something that my wife actually saw the job posting first. Like, isn't this what you say you wanted to go after? And I thought, yeah, it is, but the timing just isn't right. Like, I've committed to being the head strength coach. I'm going to coach this team up and finish up in 2018, and then see what happens from there. Well, about 2 or 3 months passed, and I saw the position posted again. And I thought, well, from a timing standpoint, maybe this will work out where I can actually coach this team, finish up the bowl game, and then transition to University of Louisville, go full time with um, administration. And I did that my first year here. I had probably the best experience ever my first year here, because Mike Siriano, who was the head strength and conditioning coach, asked me to assist him for the football season because he was short one assistant. So on game days, I got to travel, be on the sideline, still do a little bit of coaching 1 day a week while I was an administrator. That was probably the best time I've ever had, because I got to do a little bit of both. But long answer to your question, but I think you wanted some of those details.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. So because I know like besides strength and conditioning, you also focus on mental performance. So what make you pursue like mental performance instead of like a lot of strength coach, we just focus on like strength training, performance, like sports science stuff. What make you want to do mental performance?
Well, guess what we all want as strength and conditioning coaches, sports performance coaches? We want our athletes to be focused, engaged, giving their best effort every day, being motivated to come in and being excited to get better, being resilient. Hey, no pain, no gain. We want them to push through obstacles. We want them to compete. We want them to challenge, to accept challenges. Like all of these things we want as coaches, but we aren't necessarily trained to make happen. We think that, hey, this is what we need to do today. Let's get after it. Well, there's a little bit more to it than just, hey, this is what we got. Let's get after it. They have to want to get after it. They have to believe that what you are asking them to do is for their benefit. They have to be motivated. They have to be focused. They have to have emotional stability. They have to be mentally tough. They have to be accountable. They have to do the things that you're asking them to do, discipline, and they have to do the things that they're supposed to be doing, accountability. Those things all start right here. Like all of those things start with their thoughts. So, how they think and how they react to what you're asking them to do comes from their mental state. So, if you say, hey, we're going to get after it today, today's going to be a hard day, get ready, get focused. What do you want as a coach? You want them to accept the challenge. If they have questions, you want them to ask. We want them to be confident. Well, maybe we should understand confidence. When we had made it to several conference championship games in the sport of football, one of the three-time captains asked me, and he said, "What's missing, coach? Like, we believe no one's stronger, no one's faster. Like everything that you would want your athletes to believe that they were getting from you and your program." He acknowledged to me that they believed that, but what was missing? It's like, oh, well, I don't know what's missing because I've turned over every strength and conditioning rock there is, every performance and full FMS, and I got strength coaches going back to get their doctorates in physical therapy, Andrew Paul. I got strength coaches going back to get their PhDs in research and exercise physiology, Dr. Brian Mann, and many others. We have all of this going on. People, strength coaches going back to get their registered dietitian degrees, several of them. And yet there was still something missing. And what we discovered after we did our research, right, was the mental side. And I thought, well, this is the one thing I'm going to go after. I'm passionate about this. Now it's my turn to go back and get my doctorate. Everyone else has on staff. I'm going to do it. And it turned out to be the missing link. And our athletes acknowledged that it was, and our results showed that it was. So it was because our athletes were asking us what's missing, and through our research we discovered what was missing. It was the mental part. That's why I went back and got my doctorate.
Nice, nice. So, can you kind of describe me like what exactly is like mental performance? Because I know a lot of like strength coaches, they'll use like punishment to probably convince athlete to, or maybe to let athlete do what the strength coach want them to do. But what exactly is like mental performance?
So what they're doing is still motivation. Those strength coaches, they want to punish them, make you do 100 up downs, run a bunch of sprints, stadium stairs, then wall sits. That's external and extrinsic motivation. It's just on the opposite side of the continuum. So it's not that they aren't using techniques that work. Those techniques work. Like, I don't want to run, so I'm going to do things right. The problem is those things aren't the longest lasting or the strongest forms of motivation. You wanting to do something because you don't want to get punished is only as good as that incident in that moment. But you wanting to be in the best shape you can be in, or you wanting to win and do things right, that's the strongest form of motivation. You wanting to be the best version of you that you can be is the strongest form of motivation. All of this is mental performance. So think of this: physical performance. Where does it happen? Where does it get uh, developed? In the weight room, on the fields. Well, what about physical health? Where is that taken care of? Well, that's in the athletic training room. The are certified athletic trainers and physical therapists, and they work in those areas. So we understand that you have to be physically healthy before you can physically perform. Makes sense. Like, I want you to run and sprint full speed, but your knee is swollen. Probably not going to happen. On the mental side, think about mental health and mental performance. So mental health is I need to get you back to optimal state so that you can perform. Mental health, I need to get you back to your optimal state so that you can perform mentally. Mental performance. So, mental performance is just the weight room for the mind. But it's easy to look at the weight room for the body because that 45-pound plate, you can put it on a scale and it says 45 pounds. The 45-pound bar, you put it on the scale, it says 45 pounds. You lift those things, you get physically stronger. The mental side is not as easy because there are mental 45-pound plates, there are mental bars, there's mental weights, there's mental resistance training, and you can get stronger mentally when you do those things properly, properly with a certified, knowledgeable person, like a knowledgeable, certified strength and conditioning coach is going to help you to get stronger. A certified, knowledgeable mental performance coach is going to help you to get stronger mentally. But if you're mentally not healthy, like if you're physically not healthy, it's not physically easy to get physically strong when you're not physically healthy. It's not easily to get mentally strong when you're not mentally healthy. You need both of these things working together. And if we can see that and realize that if we want to get someone physically healthy, maybe we shouldn't sprint them if they're not ready. If we want some to get mentally stronger, maybe we shouldn't sprint them mentally to get mentally stronger if they're not mentally healthy enough to sprint. It takes, just like it takes certified, knowledgeable professionals on the physical side, it takes certified, knowledgeable professionals on the mental side. Now, if you can get all of these people working together, the physical health, the mental health, the physical performance, and the mental performance, now you get something that is extraordinary because we're asking our athletes to do all of that. We're asking them to be physically healthy, physically perform, mentally perform, and against someone else in competition and do it in front of everybody and do it better than the other person or group is doing it. That's what we're asking our athletes to do. As professionals, do we have the right resources and education in a coordinated effort to help that athlete or those athletes get to that next level?
Nice, nice. So as a leadership position now, uh, since you probably don't train athlete anymore, do you use those like skill with the strength coach or like with the profession that works under you?
With those that want it, yes. And I've had those that have wanted it since I've been here. They appreciate it. Um, One of the strength coaches who's no longer here would ask me to come to their office and get on the dry erase board and even where they are now at their new university will call or text me and say, "Hey, refresh my memory on the 5 stages of team development." And yeah, so it happens. Um, it's not my full-time role or job. Some of them, a lot of coaches aren't at that level yet where they feel they need to seek this information. They're still trying to make sure they're perfecting their other craft, Olympic lifting and velocity-based training and incorporating the technology and sports science. So I was there at one point in time too. Unfortunately, a lot of times we seek the mental side and to learn that last when this is what makes everything go from the beginning. So we almost do it backwards. It's like, why would we try to coach something when we have not fully explored how to teach it?
Hmm. So, by understanding like these mental performance side of knowledge, does that kind of change if you get to coach now? Is that going to change how you approach your athlete, like program wise or like just everything?
Absolutely, because I'm going to want athletes that are intrinsically motivated. I'm going to want athletes that want to get better for themselves, not because I'm there. I want them to train as though I am there even when I'm not there, right? I want them to count their reps as though a coach is standing right over them and do their reps as though a coach is still there. That's intrinsically motivated to do the right thing. And you have to understand intrinsic motivation. So what is that? Well, intrinsic motivation, you could look at DC and Ryan's self-determination theory and say, okay, well, it's competence, it's relatedness, and it's autonomy. So if you can provide these three components, then you can have an intrinsically motivated athlete, self-determined athlete. And if you can do that with a team, they don't, I would tell the athletes, look, I want to get to the point where all you need me for is a stopwatch and a whistle because you all are knowledgeable about what needs to be done. You understand the choices you need to make, the right choices to get to where we want to go. And we've got a good relationship where I trust you and you trust me, and we have good communication. And when you can create an environment like that in a culture, then you get the benefits, which probably leads to a lot of wins and championships.
Nice. I like it. I like it. So, uh, as a leadership position now, you get to like work with different, like probably a lot like practitioner, strength coaches, nutrition, athletic trainer, physical therapist. Like I I'll say it this way. So a lot of strength coach, probably not all of them, but a lot of strength coach have like huge ego or like they want to do things their way. They want to like they think their philosophy is correct. And when it comes like there's gonna be times that it's probably not exactly what you wanted. How do you manage those positions or like those time? How do you like change or not change it? Yeah, how do you manage that?
You know, you just reminded me of something that I meant to do earlier this week, and I haven't done it yet, but I need to. My former supervisor, who Dr. Brian Maggart, Brian is the current athletics director at Louisiana, so in Lafayette, Louisiana. He is someone that I had known for a long time. And I just thought about it. He never once came down to the weight room and tried to tell me how to do my job. He just tried to learn from me how I was doing my job and how he could help me to do my job better. And I was able to grow. I made mistakes. I was able to grow. I was able to improve. And I try to be the same thing for the people, even though I have an expertise that's closer to what they're doing than my supervisor had. But when it came to working with athletes, I didn't have more experience than my supervisor had. He just came from the academic area, but he still had experience of working with coaches, athletes, teams. It was just from a different side of the coin. I understand the importance and I valued his leadership in the way his management style because I never once had to think that I wouldn't be supported with something I was doing. I was always supported. As a matter of fact, if I needed an extra idea, I would run it by him and he would have a good suggestion for me every time. So I don't think I need to go to a strength and conditioning coach and say, hey, have you considered velocity-based training? You know, I know Brian Mann, just start dropping names. I know Andrew Paul. I just start name dropping people like that if they don't know that, then that's on them. But I think they should know that, hey, if we want to run something by, we've got a guy that's supervising us that would understand. It's not on me to tell people to, hey, you should really look at you know, a 4 day split, take Wednesdays off and do more recovery. And that's not my position. That's not my role. I don't know what's being required of each strength and conditioning coach with each of the teams. We have 23 sports teams here. We have 17 different head coaches. We probably have over 100 different coaches that our strength and conditioning coaches have to interact with, plus every athletic trainer, sports scientist, dietitian, mental health, mental performance team physician. Like there's a lot of people that they have to interact with. My job is to make sure that they have the resources and access to information, and we're communicating properly.
Mm, great, great. So, are you always like this? Because everyone I talk to, no matter like Brian Mann you mentioned, Andrew Paul, like Adam Pelly, everybody I talk to, they love you and they feel like you're super supportive to them and they feel lucky to like work for you. So I guess my question is, are you always like this when you are a strength coach? And or is there a process that you have to change your mindset from a strength coach to a leadership position?
That's a great question. I read a couple of books when I was an assistant strength and conditioning coach who was dreaming and aspiring to be a director one day. And I made some promises uh, to my creator and myself of how I would treat my assistants and the people I worked with. And I would always practice the golden rule. I would treat people the way I would want to be treated. And then something I've learned recently, treat people the way they deserve to be treated. For me, I made a promise that if I ever went backwards on that value, that it could all be taken away from me because I disrespected the value that I put in place for myself. And that is how I would treat the people that I was working with or the people that was working with me. So I'm not surprised that the people you have talked to that we've worked together, that they said that, because that I was intentional about that. And I asked for feedback. And did I always get it right? No, I did not always get it right. But there was plenty of apologies given. There were plenty of corrections made, and there was plenty of growth that happened. I always thought of the people I worked with like, hey, we're an extended family. We spend too much time together. And the more I can support you in your individual growth, the stronger we're going to be collectively. As a matter of fact, I want you to get so good that you make me better because of how good you're getting, because I want to continue to grow and improve. So when and Andrew Paul went to the cadaver lab, he invited the staff. He brought those things back to the weight room like, okay, shoulder impingement. This is it. This is what it is. The proper scapular ratio and the humerus, like all of those things. He brought those things back to us and we got better and we got smarter and we grew. And it probably kept us together longer because there was investment into their personal and professional development, which ultimately made us better because keeping someone for an extra year or two or three as they're continuing to develop, the collective continues to develop. Um, do I try to take those things with me as an administrator? Yeah, but sometimes it's misunderstood. Like, what's your motive for treating me this way with that level of respect or integrity? Like, some people are skeptical because maybe they've been burned or maybe there's some past trauma. Like, what do you mean you want the best for me? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to make more money or get a promotion? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to develop professionally? What do you mean you want me to make more money or get a promotion? that's who I've always been. That's who I'll always be. But I also have to recognize that some people might not be able to handle that, and I have to be a little bit more patient with them as they develop more trust with me. Maybe I want them to trust me after a year. Maybe it takes 3 years for them to trust me to say, oh, wow, yeah, I guess he really did want the best for me, even though the people who they've experienced in my position in the past were trying to run them off the road. That's not me. And I'm not going to change no matter what type of environment or situation I'm in or who I'm working with. I will never deviate from treating people with respect.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love it. So, I guess my next question is, mm, since you work with a lot of like really good practitioners, like top notch, and they all work for you at one point of time, how do you like Brian Mann, like Andrew Paul, like Adam, or even Tudor? He's at
Mhm.
Magic
Yeah,
right now. How do you like develop or like make them better at what they want to be?
that's another great question. You have some really good questions. So I think it starts with the way you hire people and the type of people you hire. So I want to hire people with growth mindsets. Like if you got a fixed mindset, that's not going to work with me. If you think it's only one way to do things and you can't think outside the box, you can't see the big picture and use the overall vision and have attention to detail, that it's not going to work. So one, I need to make sure that you go and find a place that where you can think small in a silo inside of a box. You should go and work there. You shouldn't work. You shouldn't work with me or what we're trying to build. So it starts with finding those kinds of people that want to continue to grow and learn and develop. And you get a group of those people together, and then they continue to challenge and push and motivate each other and encourage one another to move on. Um, it takes constant development. I even did personality. We did as a group personality assessments to figure out what each other's personality is, and then as a group what our personality is, and what our strengths are, and what our areas of opportunity to grow and develop. Like we knew that about each other. Everyone has a passion. Different people have a niche. If I had somebody that was really handy and in their free time they like to do woodworking, Brian Mann is an excellent woodworker. He's really handy with his hands. Hey Brian, can Keith Caton same way. They would build if we needed some boards built. They would make box jumps or whatever we needed. Like that was your thing. If it was Antoine Floyd, he's really handy. Well, you're in charge of facilities. So you make sure that this facility is growing. David Dietz was really passionate about Gary Gray and those people in functional movement and opera and soft tissue manipulation. Well, you're really passionate about that. Then go ahead and go for that. Um, there's so many others that everyone has this passion on top of strength and conditioning that you can interweave. Mackenzie Holzneck, she had a passion for organization that was unmatched with anyone else on the team. Well, she became the person that was in charge of the SharePoint or the database or the way we kept our manual, our general practices. Like she kept all of those documents and made sure that our handbook was in order every year. She also wanted to go back to school to get a second master's degree in computer optimization. We're like, absolutely, go for it because we need to do something with all of this data we're collecting. So there's different passions and expertise that people are passionate about, and you tap into that. And then there were when it was required that some of them missed time from coaching, we would adapt and adjust because you need to go back. If you're going back to get a registered dietitian degree and you're a strength and conditioning coach, you're going to have to do clinical rotations. And so for a year, I need to make sure I pull back on some of your workload with teams so that you can get that clinical rotation done. That's Ryan Jackson. That's Jana Heitmeyer. There's several others that went back to school to continue their education and become the best professionals they could be. So the support to be able to support that created this trust and bond with the people I worked with that I was there for them.
Nice, nice.
Long answer to your
Yeah, yeah,
question.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, what happens if the people work under you made some mistakes? I'm not talking about like small mistakes like being late or like some just maybe like the velocity or the waves wrong. I'm talking about like maybe something that is bigger. And how do you handle those like how do you handle those mistakes or like those situations?
I think for the most part, I handled them pretty well. Um, Behind closed doors as much as possible, one on one. If it was a mistake and it's obvious and everyone saw it, let's figure out why it happened and then how we can avoid it happening. And did you ask for help? Did you need help? Did you try to do it all by yourself? Did you not do your research? Did you not follow up? Did you not go through with your checks and balances? Was it imperfection in the system that we asked you to administer? Like, was it flawed from the beginning? Did I ask you to do something that was beyond your capacity? Those things have to be considered. And do I need to provide more guidance and oversight? Like those things have to be considered. Um, so I don't want people to beat themselves up because most of the time, a lot of strength and conditioning coaches are self-critical. You know, a lot of them are perfectionists and want to do things the right way, want to be seen as someone that is competent. So why would I berate them, belittle them in front of other people? It's something that I try not to do. There are a couple of times when I went too far and then I had to go back and apologize to everyone that experienced that, but and not let that happen again. And then there were some times where it required, like, I need to make sure that everyone that I bring attention to this situation because if we all aren't paying attention and something like this happens again, then it could be detrimental to someone's health or safety. Then that requires a different level of alarm. And so if I needed to ring that alarm and if it caused some sort of embarrassment that went too far, then I need to acknowledge that as well. But if it caused someone to have a different thought process or behavior pattern for the positive, then that's what I was trying to get in the first place.
Nice, nice. I love it.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm gonna go to the last part of the podcast. Um, like you mentioned, hiring the right person. So during the hiring process, like what kind of quality are you looking for? Like what type of like characteristic are you looking for as a strength coach or as a person you want to hire?
So I've been told two different things, and one I fully believe in, one I absolutely do not believe in at all. Someone told me, a former supervisor, hey, when you get to be a director, you want to hire younger versions of yourself. And then I had someone tell me, hey, when you get in the position to hire people, you want to hire people that are different from you. They got different experiences, but philosophically, you might have different methodologies, but you have similar values. And to me, what I believe is you want to hire people that are different than you. You want to hire people that have different experiences. I don't want the same version of me walking around echoing what I just said. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't make me better. So I want to hire people that have different backgrounds, different experiences, because the athletes that I'm coaching are all different and they got all different backgrounds and experiences. And I need the most different type of people working with me on my staff so that we can reach as many different types of athletes as possible because I'm trying to win championships. And to win championships, you got to create champions. And the only way to create champions is with the right professionals in place. So hiring people with growth mindsets, people that have good work ethic, good people, good teammates, people that are considerate of other people, uh, smart and intelligent, absolutely. People that can think for themselves, yeah. I need some people that are delegators. I need some people that are doers. I need some leaders. I need some managers. I need a diverse group of people around me at all times because that's how you get different perspectives. And through those different perspectives, you can see things differently and think differently and maybe solve more problems.
Hmm. So, uh, as far as the podcast go, I feel like a lot of like the answer you gave me is surrounded by trying to give your athlete the best service you can. So, and I feel like that is like sometimes as a strength and conditioning coach, sometimes they lose that from time to time. Is this a thing that you like purposely remind yourself, or is that like the pillar? I don't know how to describe it. Is that like just who you are?
It's who I wanted to be. And I think most of the time I was that. And I wanted people around me that could hold me accountable to that. And people that weren't afraid to say, hey, I think you're off on this one. And I had those people and I respected those people and I made sure those people had a place to be able to share what they were thinking. And when there was silence, sometimes I knew there was a reason for the silence. So maybe I need to follow back up with that person one on one off to the side. Hey, you want to go to lunch? Let's catch up on some things. Um, Nobody's perfect. I wasn't perfect, but I was always perfecting my craft. And that was being a leader. I was always perfecting being the best leader I could be. And the best leader I could be was developing people that would develop other leaders. So it wasn't just about developing leaders, it was developing people that could develop leaders. And I think when you have that, you can look back on your career and say, hey, I made a difference and it's still paying forward. It's still working. The work that I did, the influence that I had, it's still working.
This gives me goosebumps. It's awesome. All right,
Awesome.
last question I have for you today. So, uh, there are people like me working under like as an intern, as assistant, and like there are young coaches out there who want to be like strength coach at NBA, strength coach at NFL, who want to be a AD or leadership position in the future. Like, what advice would you give them for the younger generation?
One, you should enjoy where you're at while you're there, whether you like it or not. You find a way to enjoy the good, the bad, the ugly, the difficult, the challenging. Enjoy your youth. Enjoy being a young strength coach. Enjoy being a developing strength coach. Enjoy where you are and continue to develop, grow, and learn. Uh, Eventually, you will get to a point where you're being asked to leave, or you choose to leave. And what you do want to do is be prepared for whatever there is next. But one of the best ways to be prepared for what's next is to do the best job where you're at. So pour everything you can into being the best version of you where you're at. So being where your feet are, right here, right now. Um, and then at the same time, there is opportunities to think about the future. Okay, what's next? How am I being prepared for that? For me, going back and getting a doctorate was about being the best strength coach I could be in that moment, but it was also about opening whatever doors and giving access to other conversations in the future. And the position I'm in right now is because I was actually trying to be the best strength coach I could be. And with that came the being on the administrative leadership staff. It came with going back to school to get a doctorate. It came with reading all kinds of books, going to all kinds of seminars and conferences in strength and conditioning and performance and outside of that. So when the time came for that next opportunity, I was ready. But it's not something where you take your eye off of the ball of what you're doing in the moment. You have to be the best version of you can be in that moment. At the same time, reflecting on the past, um, looking at the future, seeing what's possible, what you want, what are some possibilities, but being the best version of what you can be in the present. There's nothing stronger than that.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I have for you today. For those who are interested in what we're talking about today, where can they reach out to you? I know you have your own podcast, you
Yeah.
have your own platform. So where can they find those?
I would say just go to pativey.com. That's the best place. I've got all my socials on there, and you have the ability to DM me and contact me direct. And I've got a lot of resources and materials on there for anyone that works with students and athletes, or if you are a student or athlete, there's resources on there for you as well. Um, that's my way to continue to give back.